So now let me get to the rule here. Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to be managing this rule, and I'm glad that I'm allowed to speak on the floor again. As you remember, I was silenced 2 weeks ago for simply speaking the truth. That's right, I was muzzled from that very rostrum for daring to recite facts. And I can think of at least 34 new facts that could get my words taken down today, but I won't go there because I want to be allowed to say a few things without being canceled by the Republican majority for the high crime of merely speaking the truth. This rule contains two bills, both of which I think are lousy. First is the House Republicans Military Construction Appropriations proposal for fiscal year 2025. This should be one of the least controversial funding bills Congress passes each year. But this year, House Republicans are loading their funding bills with more culture war nonsense. The same attacks on abortion access, attacks on the LGBTQ+ community, attacks on diversity and inclusion efforts. We are talking about more narrow-minded, hateful MAGA riders that inject partisan politics into what should be a bipartisan bill. This bill also holds the VA back from protecting struggling veterans who may pose a danger to themselves or others. It would hamper efforts to prevent veterans from dying by suicide. And this bill zeroes out funding for climate change and resilience projects, something that will jeopardize our national security because it means our military installations will not be prepared for the realities of the climate crisis. And at the end of the day, this funding bill is full of poison pills that endanger our national security and threaten the quality of life for veterans, those who serve, and their families. Again, this should have been easy. This should have been a bipartisan bill where there'd be very little debate or little dissension, and they turned it into this horrific culture war bill filled with things that, quite frankly, are very divisive and have no business being in the Military Construction Appropriations Bill. Second on the agenda is H.R. 8282, a bill that imposes sanctions on the good people who work for the International Criminal Court and their families. Now, I know members have a variety of thoughts on this measure, but frankly, I think this is a bad bill. The idea that the ICC is some evil institution is totally contrary to fact. The International Criminal Court is an important institution, and it is not in America's moral or strategic interest to attack the court for doing its job. You know, the U.S. recognizes the jurisdiction and the legitimacy of the ICC and cooperates with the ICC in cases ranging from Sudan to Russia to the Lord's Resistance Army led by Joseph Kony. Fundamentally, this bill says that human rights don't matter. In fact, it totally undermines the rules-based international order that America helped build. Now, let me be clear. I am already being challenged to explain U.S. double standards every time I meet with representatives of foreign governments. And when I meet with human rights advocates from abroad, they are gutted, first by the brutality and the inhumanity of the war in Gaza, and second by America's inexplicable abandonment of its commitment to human rights and justice for all. What better gift to China or Russia, our most significant adversaries, than for us to undermine the international rule of law and gut institutions of accountability that helped the U.S. create, that the U.S. helped create and work to consolidate for more than 75 years? What better gift than to say, yes, it's just fine to ignore or redefine human rights and international humanitarian law for reasons of political convenience? What should our reaction be? First, we should read the evidence contained in the ICC filing. Second, we should wait for the judges to actually rule on the warrant applications. We don't know what their decision will be. And when it comes down, if we disagree with it, we can say so. What is not okay is to attack the court's existence or threaten its personnel and their families. Republicans are already doing that in New York. It's wrong there, and it's wrong here. Finally, we should insist on credible, independent investigations of the crimes the ICC has alleged, which include, by the way, the unspeakable crimes committed by Hamas on October 7th. Surely, I hope everybody here supports the ICC's effort to hold Hamas accountable. We should also recognize the ICC's action for what it is. It's an urgent attempt at prevention. The ICC is urging Israel to change course and to stop the carnage against Palestinian civilians. It is calling upon the independent Israeli judiciary to investigate these alleged crimes and follow the evidence, no matter where it leads, before the worst unimaginable criminal charges become inevitable. Should this bill pass, it would completely isolate us internationally, including and especially from our closest allies. It would deepen accusations of hypocrisy that have already caused a mind-boggling level of damage to the reputation of the United States, our diplomacy, and the entire range of our soft power capabilities. And I'm just completely astounded by how little my Republican colleagues seem to even care about the massive ramifications of this bill. No hearing at all. No witnesses, no markup, no nothing. The Republican who testified last night in the Rules Committee had no clue what was even in the bill. He told us he wasn't on the Committee of Jurisdiction, but he is. He didn't even know what the text of the bill was because the text kept on changing multiple times. Is that how you conduct business in the People's House? My Republican colleagues have turned this place into a joke. They are making a complete and total mockery of the committee process. And on top of it all, we have another closed rule. Another closed rule. How pathetic. How pathetic. I mean, I get it. You may not care about the implications of some of the things that my friends say or what they bring on the floor, but at least try to go through the motions. You know, at least let's at least have a hearing. Let's have witnesses. Make believe like you care about the facts and that you're serious about legislating. Again, it's sad that this is the process that brings this bill to the floor. And with that, I reserve my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.